And I'm live. There it is. I was texting Grayson, who knows what she's doing, and I don't. This is my first live. Welcome to Headline Crime. I'm Susan Hendricks with a recap of today, and I have lots of notes going on. And I want to preface this with the fact that I didn't follow the first trial. So the second trial is when I kind of got involved, if you will. And this is a funny story. So I'm at the Lori Vallow trial, and I get a text from Nightline, because I was, of course, covering the Delphi trial for so long, and I did something with them, and they have such a great team. So I got a text. It said, "Hey, are you at the Karen Reed trial?" And I said, "Yeah, I am. There's opening statements right now." And then I went, oh my gosh, no, I'm at the Lori Vallow trial. Scratch that." So I'm thinking, "Oh my, I'm the biggest ditz ever. I'm not at the Karen Reed trial. I'm at the Lori Vallow trial." But that's what Nightline wanted to cover, was the Karen Reed trial, because of all the attention and everything that's gone into it. So I'm going to start with telling you my preconceived notions before I even glanced at any of this. Is I thought that it was, and this is based on kind of little things that I saw. Um, she's guilty. She drank too much and didn't remember, and that's it. I feel bad for her. She hit and killed her boyfriend. The end. But then when I spoke to friends of mine, good friends of mine, who said to me, "Susan, you have to really look into this." And Cheryl McCullum being one of the first. And I'm going to interview her tomorrow about it. I'm good friends with her, and she knows Nancy Grace well. They've known each other 20 plus years. CSI, Cheryl McCullum. So when she said that you have to watch the testimony from the first trial, that's when I thought, oh my gosh, okay, if Cheryl's saying this, let me look. And the more I watched and the more I listened, I thought, what's happening? I went there, and it happened to be the media day that everyone could go to Fairview and kind of 34 Fairview and look at the also they brought the car there too, Karen Reed's car, the Lexus. But they said that the light was out, so ignore that. So the jurors had come and gone, and I pull up and it's media, and I have that on TikTok. I'm showing that, and you see how many people are actually out there. But what I noticed was how small that front lawn is. And when I listened to the testimony, because Cheryl McCullum said to me, "You got to listen to this. You got to listen to Brian Albert," and I did. Um, that he didn't come out and he didn't hear anything. You know, my dad's an attorney, and so I was telling him, "Dad, you have to look at this." He wants me to get quickly to the bottom line. I don't know if that's from New Jersey or being a lawyer, get to the facts. So I said, "Dad, the owner of this house, first of all, owned it for generations. But second of all, an investigator at heart." I could picture my dad. I'm thinking, back to even being a teenager. I feel bad for him. But he would come out no matter what, no matter what. Any peep, he would be out there. We're like, "You're going to wake up dad." So nobody came out of that house, nobody. And seeing how close it was to his window, the upper two left side of the window, I mean, then I started to think, okay, I remember Cheryl telling me, "Just watch and keep in mind they don't have a dog anymore." And I know how much I'm about to get a dog. I promised my son we're getting one soon. Um, that my sister loves her dog. I mean, 6+ years. That's your family member. It's like giving up one of your kids, right, to someone who owns a dog. I mean, not really, but kind of. No longer have the dog. So everything started to kind of resonate with me. And then being in that town and then seeing the house, it changed my perspective completely. And now it's all I want to listen to. It's all I want to talk about. It's all literally, it's all I want to do. Today, I was supposed to be on Merritt Street Media to talk about a possible serial killer in Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts. But it was, and being at CNN, I was there for 15 years. Stories get killed all the time. I'm cool with it. It's they always say, "Thanks for being flexible." I mean, that's where you have to be with live news because of the Pope. And so with live coverage, your story can get killed easily. So it was. And I was kind of glad. I love being on there. But all I wanted to do was listen to the testimony today because of how much now. I texted Cheryl when I got back from being there in Canton. And I said, "Oh my gosh, Oh my and now I'm on TikTok, and I know that you find the people that reinforce your opinion on this, but I truly I respect some people who think Karen Reed is guilty. I respect the prosecutors. One of my favorite podcasts. I love them. I mean, you can't argue that they're genius, both of them. Um, but I wonder because I think, oh, also early on, I did hear of Turtle Boy, and I had, whispers of preconceived notions of this, and I think covering the Delphi trial and being involved in that and uh, there were people who were quote unquote conspiracy theorists, and you're kind of turned off by that. So part of me was like, who is this person? But it was kind of off in the distance. I really didn't look into it at all. And maybe that's my bad. That's where, because I've since talked to him, interviewed him, and met Turtle Boy. And I understand, not that I agree with everything that he did. I said, do you think you're overdoing it? I asked him that. And he's not everyone's cup of tea, but I understand different things now. It's weird. It's a different perspective that I have. And, also the vitriol, the hate's there on Twitter with this case, and I never come out swinging like, "This is my full opinion." I just say, "Look, I feel like" and this was an analogy that I brought up. I said, "Have you ever looked at Instagram and, those where they say, like, if you look at the word, you hear the word?" I'm fascinated by that. It's like green grass or like carpool. That's what I do. I carpool all the time. So carpool or green grass. So it's like what you're looking at, you hear. So I'm cognizant of that, and I'm wondering like, is this all the people that I know, and is this the information I'm willing to give myself that I'm not even looking at the other side? Because Paul Holes taught me that on stage in at CrimeCon. If you haven't been, you should go. This was Las Vegas, and he said to me, Susan, this is true that he had that happen to him, and it was in solving the Golden State Killer. All the information that he wanted to hear, he kept, and all the information that didn't align with his thoughts, he set aside. And he said it can happen to the best of investigators. And so that's always in my mind to think like, am I just seeing what I want to see? Is this my algorithm now that like that's exactly how I think this is a big setup from what happened in that house on Fairview? But the more I listen to it, the more I think, I mean, I'm open to it. I do want to hear again from the prosecutors who I love. I do want to hear why they think that she's guilty. And I think it's going to be from her own words. And Turbo, who's on this live, I know it. There she is. So I know that Turbo said to me, I kept calling her. We met during the first hearing in Delphi. And I said to her, you have to see this. I know you're gonna see what I see. And she said, "No, I don't. I wanna be a juror. So stop I'm sending her TikTok after TikTok every day, TikToks." Before this case, I thought TikToks are for my daughter's age. Not so now. I'm all over it. So, and I'm TikToking. But, so that's my perspective, and she'll send me these things, and I said to her right before I came on live, like, "What stands out to you?" And she said in her own words. And by the way, Turbo has the skills of any top CNN producer I've ever met. She sends me these emails that are amazing. Okay, I want to read one of the quotes from Karen Reed. This is Discovery ID documentary, which, okay, I'll go back to that. But I made my husband watch the documentary on Max. I made him. I literally made him. I watched it 3 times. Okay, so it says, this is from Discovery ID. This is Karen Reed's words. I was looking to find him on the side of the road. I was expecting to find him. The fear of what I was going to see is the worst feeling I've ever experienced. Those are her words. What would you think as a juror? Here's what I think, as I'm dying to say. That to me is truth. I've covered so many cases and so many trials. Casey Anthony, Jodi Arias, Scott Peterson, and Scott Peterson stuck out. His calls to Lacey stuck out to me like, "Hey, babe, how's it going?" And meanwhile, she's dead. His pregnant wife is dead. So it's the cover up. It's the uh, to me, this says I didn't know. I mean, it's clear that everybody there that night was drinking too much. So everybody, everybody at the bar, everybody, the Alberts, Higgins, Karen Reed, O'Keefe, everybody was drinking. So that kind of puts kind of a skewed view on this, if you will. And my sister went to Boston College, I could tell you. And I went to Arizona State. And at the time, it was ranked as like one of the top party schools. I'm like, my parents let me visit my sister. She was older at Boston College. And I've never seen anything like that. I'm making a generalization. Maybe it's the winter, maybe it's the cold. It was a lot of drinking. So maybe that kind of impairs people's it of course impairs people's decision making, but also their memory. It's like, what do you remember? But it will depend on what the jury believes. So a lot of people believe, and the prosecutors too, who again I really respect, say it's her own words. It's her own words. So I think what's most damaging against the prosecution, I've never done this, so should I be looking? Have you established motive for why all the people in the house killed him and left him in their yard? Motive. Hey, it's Teddy. My good friend from Delphi. Have you been really looking into this, Teddy? Okay. So this is how I feel. I feel that she didn't do it. I feel that he went into that house. I'm going to just say it out of the gate that he went into that house and it was either Chris Albert. And if you look into the family tree, just keep on digging. His son and John O'Keefe had an issue. Hmm, is this enough for motive for murder? Absolutely not. I don't think it was a planned murder by any means. I mean, come on, I just don't. I uh, I think though that Brian Higgins, who liked Karen Reed, and they read the texts, and then Karen spoke about it during the documentary on Max. She said it was cringeworthy to hear, but she said, "Hey, we're not married. We don't have any kids. We're middle aged." Like she's saying, "Look, I never," and she says this. And I remember watching the documentary out of the gate. I said, "I don't like her." This is episode 1. I don't like her. Who am I to say I don't like? And I even thought, and maybe they did that on purpose. I think they did, but that's who she is. She's saying it's been 3 years. I'm defending myself. I didn't do anything. And I think being from New Jersey, it might be the Boston way too. That kind of, I have it in me. I really do. The attitude of New Jersey, and you're sick of it, and you're sick of the shit, and you want to say that, and the warm and fuzzies aren't there, and maybe that people judge all the time. Like we always judge in the news, like who's at the press conference, who's looking the right way, who's acting the right way. Even when I interviewed Turtle Boy, he said, I don't. She doesn't come off as likable. I think she should stop talking. Um, but he understood, he said, why she was talking because she had had it. It had been so many years. And imagine that. Imagine being in her shoes. Now, after watching it, so my husband's watching it with me. It's the first episode. I said, "You're gonna think she did it. Just wait." And then he's like, "Wait a minute." And this stood out to him. House log to die in the cold. And he goes, "Okay, I'm out." And he left. That was it. He only watched like up to episode 2. He goes, "I get it. She didn't do it." That's it. He left. So House log to die in the cold. Today, I'm supposed to be recapping today, I think. I have tons of notes, but that was what was at stake for the state. And so they had their expert um, who spoke about everything that if I was on the jury and me being me, I don't understand not a word that she said. But she did say, okay, so there was a lot of objections with Alessi, the attorney. I think he's smart as can be. Uh, and so Jessica Hyde was the expert. So he said, there were so many objections. Oh my gosh. But the prosecutor finally got this in to a degree of scientific certainty. They had like 6 sidebars to discuss this. Uh, was the search, did it happen at 2:27:40? And she said no. She said no. Again, these experts are paid. Jessica Hyde is her name. They're paid. And that's why I think there's something wrong with our system. Because during Delphi, and I think McCabe looks like a fool, in my opinion. Well, and Teddy can speak to this too, and so can Turbo. The the bullet testimony on that, the experts on the forensics of the bullet, and I'm lucky that my father's an attorney, so I remember calling him about, "Hey, dad, what does an unspent bullet mean? What does it look like?" He said, "Oh, it's absolutely, I know guns." He grew up in New Jersey. My pop-up was a hunter. He was a hunter. "What does it look like?" And he said, "It's like a fingerprint. If it's unspent, it can lock to that gun." The end. Not so. Not so, says other people and other experts. And we have found on Murder Sheet interviewed one of the jurors who said, that really didn't play into the final decision. It really didn't. And that's what I've been lucky enough to get to know and become friends with so many attorneys through my 15 plus years at CNN, especially Joey Jackson, who we were side by side at the Jodi Arias trial. I mean, every day. Casey Anthony, Jodi Arias, you name it. And to be near someone like Joey Jackson is just a blessing because I learned through him, criminal defense attorney in Manhattan, and he would fly back and forth. I got to know his wife and his son, who's now an attorney as well. It's been so many years, but he would always say to me, "Susan, it's the battle of the experts, and they usually cancel each other out. The battle of the experts that cancel each other out." And he said to me, "Cases are won and lost at jury selection." And I'm thinking, how is that? And my first jury selection, what I did witness was during the Delphi trial. It's like, okay, it's an interesting formula of how they do it, and I know every jurisdiction is different, but it's interesting to see, like, who they want, who they don't want based on the questions, and it was really interesting. Prosecutor Nick McClelland's like, "Listen, don't answer the way you think I want you to answer. Just answer truthfully, and therefore we can kind of assess if we want you on, and if you have any hardship, because they don't want anyone who doesn't want to be there, who's miserable. They don't want that either." So it's very interesting. But he also stated, like, you don't know. There's no slam dunk in terms of who you're going to pick and choose. What I've heard, and if any of you, um, Turbo, I know you didn't uh, watch the first trial. So the I've heard based on my algorithm that the order is a little off here, like that it's not kind of congruent. And every prosecutor's different, and they could do what they want. But there's an assessment, and this is, it's people assessing. Think of a Super Bowl. This is how I kind of talk about crime these days. Or think about a big playoff game and you're on the set, because I've seen it. My husband does it. You talk about who you think could win the game, why, what players they have, what do you think the moves are going to be, how's it going to happen? And you really have no idea. It's just kind of a thought process of what plays you have, what experience you have. So here we are. This is trial 2. And my question was, not following trial 1, why? Why try it again? And that's not in my expertise. The DA probably felt pressure, but I've also asked, and I've met a lot of Karen Reed supporters who have said, we'll be back here. But no, everyone I've talked to outside of that courthouse has said that they think they'll do it again. Third trial, which is bizarre to me because I think every time it's retried, again, this is my opinion, the Alberts, Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Jen McCabe, and everyone in that house looks guilty to me, as this case is being tried. Everyone in that house. And the more they try it, the more people that are going to catch on and watch. And that's my feeling on it. I just feel like there is no way. Okay, she's drunk. She is saying, "Oh my gosh, I expected to pull up and say, 'Did I hit him?'" Slam dunk, right? No. Then why is everyone inside lying? What, or very, very, very defensive? Why? Why is Brian Higgins? This is what got me. Not only destroying his phone, going to a military base and getting rid of it, and he's during the first trial, because I've watched this. I no longer have a life. I'm watching everything. He's saying in a loud voice, "I had the right to get rid of my phone." Yeah, you had the right, but why'd you do? "I was passing through a military base." No, you're in law enforcement. Then it'll be safe. What were you hiding? What's on that ship? What happened? Nor do I believe that this was a planned murder. I think something got out of hand. Somebody jumped him or something happened, maybe in that basement. That's based on different theories I've heard. and that he hit the back of his head. And that is why, that's the theory. At first, I was thinking with Jen McCabe, House Long to Die in the Cold. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he was alive and they let him die. That's a new level. That is something I couldn't wrap my brain around. And then I heard the theory about no, it's he was already dead and that they were kind of back like when should we bring him out to say how long you can die in the cold? When is it safe to bring him outside on the front lawn in the snow? Uh, so that made sense to me. Again, I'm open to any of your opinions. That's just my opinion based on what I've heard in the house. I think it was a slam dunk case. If that guy who owned the house for generations, by the way, if you didn't know, he grew up in the house. He grew up in that house. He raised his kids in the house. All of a sudden, he wants to move for under the asking price. Okay. And he didn't come out. I mean, my husband, zero law enforcement background, he would come out and say, "What the hell's going on out here? Someone's dead on my lawn. Someone's dead." Never came out. That to me, it would have been slam dunk. And I think they thought they had her, which is kind of sick, in my opinion. So all of a sudden, he doesn't come out. So the secrecy and the lies in that house supersedes, in my opinion, her saying, "God, did I hit him? Did I hit him?" None of them should have been driving. That's clear. And also, a point of contention for me was, really, you're going to get all these people to lie for this long and no one's going to crack? Yeah. Yeah. Why? Because they're all family. They're all intertwined, all of them. Jen McCabe's sister is married to Brian Albert, the homeowner. So she's outside. I was thinking this, and my sister and I are very close, a year apart. So I'm like, if I pull up and I'm with Karen Reed and I'm looking at John O'Keefe, I'm not going to say, "Is my sister okay in that house?" I'm not. That's it. That to me cancels out. They could have gotten her, honestly, Karen Reed, if if every, or not every, if the behavior in that house didn't seem so suspicious. It does to me. And I've said that on Twitter kind of as I was there and as I was, and I don't say it in anyone's face to say, like, this is what you should believe. And I've gotten so much hate. And even people who say, "I thought you were one way with Delphi. Oh, she drank the Kool-Aid. You're not who I thought you were. Who are you?" Um, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry. Shouldn't I look at every case differently than, like, okay, if Richard Allen did it, then she did it. Karen Reed did it because Richard Allen did it. What the hell does that have to do with anything? I thought you cared about John O'Keefe. What the I don't know John O'Keefe. I don't know his family. I'd never met anybody there. I'm just saying what I'm assessing based on what I saw in person. That's it. And I'd also like to hear from those who think that she's guilty. And I could see that based on her words. Um, but those who I respect and really like and who are really smart, I want to say, just watch. Don't be so turned off by people around the case and watch it yourself and really assess, like, if you were on this case, because it is interesting to look into it. That's how it was for me. So I said this was a kind of a wrap up. It really isn't. Okay. So today on the stand was the expert, which I understood really none of it. Oh, first it was Connor Keefe. And so he held up John O'Keefe's shoe. He said he wasn't in charge of collecting evidence from the scene. His job really was to kind of bag it and seal it. And they asked him about Proctor. And this is where I'm like, is this Boston or is this like everyone's so defensive? And I know it's been going on for, he's like, "What do you mean? I didn't do that. What do you mean?" Okay. So then the expert came on, forensic expert, because I think this is the most damaging aspect to this, Jen McCabe. Did she Google um, house long to die in the cold, misspelling how? So again, there was a lot of back and forth, and it turned out that she said yes. In her ability, I mentioned this earlier, to a degree of scientific certainty, the search was house long to die in the cold did not happen at the 227 mark. So that can be damaging, right? So you're thinking, okay, and I've learned through covering different trials, there's ebbs and flows. Okay, so then with the cross with the lessee, he came out swinging. I mean, the guy is smart. He really is. I wouldn't want him. I kind of felt bad for her at times that she admitted to saying it could be in her testimony, or maybe this was a deposition or something that she documented. It said it could be lots of things. Uh, so there goes that. They talked a lot about artifacts. I have no idea what that means. None, none in terms of, and I don't think the jury does either. Is it designed? And going back to Delphi, the jury doesn't know about markings and bullets, and it can go on all day, all day. One expert on the stand um, could go on all day. It's ever listened to Duty Ron. I think it's pretty good. Oh, I like Duty Ron. They believe the conspiracy. I don't know. Is there? I think we overuse. Oh, Turbo, restate what you were saying. I think we overuse conspiracy. The judge, I think, though, today I've heard that a lot. Oh my gosh, Frank, how you doing? My first live. Love Frank. So I've heard that a lot. That the judge is kind of biased, and and I see it and I hear it. I do. But today there was kind of a turning point, I believe. I think she's heard that from the defense. There was kind of like a meeting, kind of a longer break for the jurors, and I think she knows that. And I don't know. I knowing what I know now and based on the evidence that I've seen in person, meaning the house, is and again, this is just my opinion. I don't think they should have retried her. I think this is a mistake. I think if you're the DA, and I did, I take it with a grain of salt, but I interviewed this Karen Reed supporters out front. So one guy's been on it forever. He was saying the DA is corrupt and he's this and he's that. And I got it. I understand. But if if you are that, you gotta cut your losses and wrap it up. And this is big for me, overcharge second degree murder. If you guys haven't watched, the documentary on Max, you should watch it. Second degree murder. And Proctor. Yeah, Proctor's a scumbag. There's a lot of scumbag cops. There's a lot of scumbag lawyers. There's a lot of scumbag news anchors. There's a lot of scumbag everythings. That doesn't bother me as much, his text. It doesn't. I think it's a red herring. I think the truth is they shouldn't have retried her. I really do. I think it points the finger at those in the house and what went on and why did they do what they did in the following days. And you know what? He may have thought, and this is the owner of the home, Brian Albert, I don't care what the optics look like. We got to get out of here. I don't know this to be true. I heard it. I keep getting texts about it. Did they fill in the pool? They redid the basement. They sold the house. He got rid of his phone. He butt dialed a million times. Rehomed the dog. Rehomed the dog. Where's the dog? Where's it rehomed? And sold the house. All that. And then Brian Higgins is going through a military base, destroying his phone. And the last text to Karen Reed was, hello. I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, hello, pay attention to me. I'm not saying this was a plan set up murder. I don't think it was. But something happened and now they're in deep and now no one's telling the truth. But if you saw yesterday, I think it was yesterday, a couple days ago, Brian Nagel, I believed his testimony. So it's the younger kid. So it's if you don't know the case that well, it's Brian Albert. It's his home. It's his son's birthday. Okay. So it's think of my parents. I grew up in New Jersey. They have friends from high school. My dad and mom met in 7th grade. So it's kind of the same thing. Like everyone's intertwined. So it's New Jersey, but not intertwined in like this. So we know the kids of all of our parents' friends. So we could see like the younger generations going to the party. Okay. So there were younger kids. That's why they were on the stand testifying to what they saw and when. And Brian Nagel, is it Brian? Oh yeah, he saw Karen Reed. He said he saw her. The light was on. He didn't see anyone in the passenger seat. So maybe that's what it comes down to. And earlier I was talking to Turbo and we talked about like different jurors and being interviewed. And on Hidden True Crime, my favorite, if you don't follow Lauren, she's amazing, and her husband. But she interviewed a juror with the Lori Vallow case. I was there. And who said that the closing argument meant a lot to him. Like he wasn't swayed yet. He wasn't swayed. So you kinda have to kinda bring it all together, and I think at times, if I was a juror, it would be confusing to me that, like, wait, who saw what, when, why? Like, what's happening here? You have to kinda bring it around. I think the opening statement by Karen Reed's lead attorney was excellent. I really did, on saying that because apparently, and I've learned this to be true, I didn't follow the first trial, but the first trial, it's like it was the other attorney who I like too, but he said it's a setup. Okay, then you gotta prove it's a setup. With this, it's like there was never a collision, never a collision, never a collision, 3 times. Never a collision. Maybe to supersede the "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," but I thought it was, done it was well done. It really was, and I keep hearing that the prosecutor in this trial is very different than the first trial, that the prosecutor was boring. I guess it shouldn't matter, but the there are, if you haven't been inside a courtroom at one of these trials, no matter what, there are ebbs and flows, and it's boring, boring. I mean, I'm so grateful that Cheryl McCullum was with me during the Delphi trial about the ballistics of the bullet, and she was able to, in layman's terms, kind of explain it to me. But think of the jurors; they don't know. They're like, "What? Well, this side says this, and this side says that." They cancel each other out, and that's what Joey Jackson always told me, and I feel like it's true. It's like, and on Murder Sheet, we saw that one of the jurors that they interviewed, Anya and Kevin, that they said that that didn't really play in. Uh, and we see here during the first trial, one of the jurors, I saw him, he was interviewed and he said, "You know what? You know what it came down to him?" Because it was a locked, jury, it was a mistrial. He said it was about the injuries to John O'Keefe, and that's what Cheryl McCullum, when I first said, "Hey, I'm watching this, like, what do you think I should look for? What hey, isn't" she did it. She was drinking a lot, right? No. Look at the injuries, and the injuries, there was no way that she's flooring it, backs into him, and they shoot out like shards of knives and are able, I mean, that to me is common sense. And that to me is reasonable doubt. It is, even if you think, in my opinion, that she maybe had something, maybe she bumped him in her car. I don't know. My opinion, after seeing everything I saw and after being there in Canton and understanding it a lot more, I think she did it. I really don't. I think everyone was drinking too much, and I think she left, and I think they were going to, and this is not based on what I've heard, it's based on what others have told me, that they were gonna blame it on someone else, like maybe the snowplow guy, and that Karen called at 5 a.m. and she came back and that was it, and that to me is a new level of sick. Like, you're willing to let someone fry, really, and go down for you? And to try her again is insanity to me. It's like, that's reasonable doubt. It's reasonable doubt. And the more they go on, the more that people learn about this. I mean, it's, I don't know. It's something that I can't stop watching. And there is a clear side I'm on, but I'm not going to attack someone who says, hey, um, I think that she did it and doesn't remember, and I feel like maybe this could be their theory, that people inside of that house are hiding something. It's clear with Higgins, with the military base, that he's hiding something. What's he hiding? I mean, is this the mob? What's going on? So but it's not her. It's her and da 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 da. But those kids, the kids, meaning the generation below who were there, I was on the lawn. It's from here, it's 10 f it feels like 10 feet max. It's small, and the meteorologist on the stand, I mean, bless his heart, is that what they say in the South, even though I'm from New Jersey? I just wonder what Officer O'Keefe knew. Mhm. Well, remember there was a journalist at, Court TV who walked across the street, interviewed one of the neighbors, and he said, "There's no way." An older gentleman, seemed like a nice guy, neighbors forever, and said, "There's no way that that's from a car. There's no way." And I think it comes down to the injuries. I really do. House long to die in the cold? I don't know. Jen McCabe, Yeah, I think she was covering it. I think she was covering it. I think that something happened in that basement. I think he went in and immediately something happened to him that they didn't want to happen. And he was dead and they all agreed to cover it. But to try it a second time is bizarre to me. I'll never understand that. And that's my opinion. And again, I've been attacked. I guess it's called X now. Okay, I've heard a theory they were hiding the fact that they're swingers. Maybe, but they're related. So that made me maybe. Susan, first live. Yeah, Teddy. Love Teddy. My two friends. I asked Turbo to come on with me. She's like, I don't know the case. I'm not coming on with you. Because normally I have someone to talk to. And I don't. On CNN, I would have a lawyer. And I'd be like, come on, weigh in. But I do know what they would say. Because again, 15 years there, I know what they would say if it was Joey. He would say, Susan, we don't know what the jury is thinking. And this is me. I'm acting now. Um, that's the truth. I've found that to be true on so many cases that you never know. And in Delphi, no cameras in the courtroom. We could look over. They were attentive. They could ask questions. Questions were allowed. But also recently, I was at the Lori Vallow trial in Arizona, and it was so interesting. And I was able to meet the PIO there and public information officer, and he was great. And he was talking about the, Jodi Arias trial because it's interesting. And fast forward, ironically so, um, I'm good friends with Kirk Nurmi, the defense attorney in Jodi Arias' trial, and he said to me because we had dinner when I was recently there for the vow, we talk about the trial, and he said he was so miserable, and he thought the media hated him. I said, "We never hated you." Honestly, with HLN, we would pause and play and pause and play ever. We felt sorry for the defense attorneys having to defend Jodi Arias, walking into that courtroom with, "Oh, now I defend abused women." And that reminded me of Lori Vallow too, who's saying now she's defending women in the worst prison in the world. I mean, they're diabolical, narcissistic murderers. I There was no way that me especially, but anyone at HLN always thought, great things about him. But I recently interviewed him a couple months ago, not that recent, and, he talked about being so depressed. Kirk Nurmi, just an amazing guy. If you could look him up and follow him on Twitter. He talked about being depressed and feeling depressed after that and not wanting to live really, not wanting to be a lawyer. Then he was diagnosed with cancer, and he said his will to live changed. Now he's lost 100 pounds. I had dinner with him and his wife at this health food restaurant. It was amazing. He's so nice and just an amazing person. So when I was recently in Arizona, I was able to, it's like full circle with Kirk Nurmi. I never knew him before, but just really a great person. He's on Court TV a lot. Vinnie Politan, who I like as well, who ironically, my dad, I don't know if ironically is the right word, his dad was a judge who sadly passed away, Vinnie Politan's dad. My dad's an attorney in New Jersey, and my dad had tried a case in front of his dad. So, but so Kirk Nurmi knows Vinny well, and it's kind of like a small world of this. But so I did ask Kirk about Lori Vallow, of course, which it seems to be kind of a all around. Everyone agrees she's nuts, but this is different, and it divides people. And it's funny. So I was outside of the court and doing kind of like a recorded. Hey, I'm out here, and Jen McCabe's going to be on the stand and a motorcycle came by, it's playing Mariah Carey, and I start dancing because I knew it's recorded. Well, Kirk Nurmi's like, "Oh my gosh," and tagging Nancy Grace. You have to be on Dancing with the Stars because Nancy Grace was, and she laughed, so it's funny. It's all the small world, but people can attack on and I'll tell you, my opinion is kind of I've said it right here what my opinion is, but again, I haven't followed the first trial, but I still stick to what I believe. And people can be mean, and it's just gross. It's like, really? You want to hate people that much? You do? I understand the drive, but I think it's almost turned into like a weird team sport, like your side, my side, your side, my side. And I don't think that was true with Casey Anthony, and that was before social media, And, Kirk and I discussed this with his wife at dinner, and I said, "Was it like this? I don't remember." And he said, "No, it was just the beginning, though." So it was a circus because it was the beginning of social media with Jodi Arias, if you guys followed it. And he's like, "It was insane." And he said, and people said so many mean things about him, who I love. Again, he's awesome. Okay, it's a weird team sport. It is. It is. It really is. Susan, do you know what Nancy Grace believes in this case? No, I'd love to. Well, I know what Cheryl thinks. I don't know what Nancy thinks. But Cheryl is, I said, "Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm all in." And again, this has nothing to do with likability. I don't think she's likable. I now, now with my perspective, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it doesn't, what she's supposed to be a certain way. And, you know, I think that John O'Keefe, I'll admit, has gotten lost in this. I truly do. Um, and even in the documentary, she says, I've mourned him. Now I'm fighting for my life. And things are taken in sound bites, and, she is who she is. But I don't think that has anything to do with her guilt or innocence. If anything, I think that we have seen so many times. How many times have you seen someone who's lying, who leaves a voicemail like a Scott Peterson, like, "Hey, sweetie, hey, hope you're doing, love you," and she's dead because you just killed her? Why that would be Oscar worthy nomination for her to leave the messages that she did, like, "Fuck you," and da. Can I say that? I don't know. But screaming and freaking out and, it's who I really like? I know that it shouldn't matter, but I love her parents. I love her dad. He reminds me of my dad. He's like, "I love my job." He's very positive. He's like, "But this is what I'm made to do. I'm sticking up for my daughter." I really love her dad. Um, and I, I like her team. I like her defense attorneys. And here's the truth. I don't have a blanket thought on anything because I've gotten that to say, like, "I thought you were one way and you think Richard Allen's guilty and how could he do this?" It's like, what does that have to do with anything? And his defense team, I'm sorry. I've been dying to say this, but I'm not. I They're different than Karen's defense team. I think they are ethical. I think that they are fighting for their client, and I like them. I think they're likable, and I think they're doing an excellent job. So that's my thoughts. And, it's about what went on inside that house. What happened? Brian Higgins, are they covering? That's the question. That's okay. So if you don't know the family tree, it's kind of convoluted and difficult. So Brian Albert is like the king. Think of this as the pyramid who owned that house again in his family for generations. He has a brother named, I believe it's Chris Albert. So he has a son, Colin. So there's speculation out there. If you look, you can find that, they used to make fun of John and say, like, oh, he wanted his lawn perfect. And Colin would give the middle finger to the camera. Does that prove anything? No. But there's people who know the case way more than me that say that Colin was involved in some sort of drug activity and maybe, I don't know, maybe John called someone or kind of was going to tell on him for that. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of these relationships. That could be it. Or what I think who so Brian Higgins, the first trial, watching his testimony, it's cringeworthy. It's so bad. It really is. But what he did after, I mean, my God, just going to the police force and just the way he says it, he's like, and he's reading the text messages, Karen, which is cringeworthy, but he says, "I had every right to get rid of my phone." And the defense attorney's like, "I didn't ask you about your rights. I asked you what you did." He's like, "Yes, I destroyed it at a military base." I mean, everything that was done after the fact felt just that they were down the road of, "Oh my God, what do we do? What happened here?" And then you're down the road of like, what's happening? But to pin this on Karen Reed and to have and it wasn't Jen, it was the other friend who's saying, like, that she admitted to lying to the grand jury. It's like, what are all these lies? So to me, yes, when she says, "Oh my gosh, I expect to pull up and think, could I have clipped him? Did I kill him?" That's gone because of what went on inside that house, meaning they knew that she would be the perfect person to pin this on. Again, that's my opinion. We'll see what the jury thinks, but you never know. You really never know what they're going to say or think. Um, Teddy, you're the best. Alan's attorneys, you're right. The victims were the children. Yeah, the children. Yeah, the kids there. I agree. And I wonder, there's been speculation of, did he go in the basement? Was he in the garage? I think it's the basement because I've heard everyone keeps, texting me this on my now TikTok friends, saying that they redid the basement twice and it's been filled in with cement. I don't know. And I heard the pool out back's filled in. And where's the dog? The dog, Chloe. Come on. If anyone has a dog, I don't. I'm getting one. But I know that it's like, I mean, I had a cat that died and I have the ashes. I'm not kidding. Don't judge. But I loved my cat. So with a dog, it's like, where is it? Where is it? And they get on the stand and they were rehomed. The defense attorney is like, I don't care what you call it, you got rid of it. Uh, Teddy's my absolute favorite. I remember we were walking up to court. Teddy, remember? We were there. And I'm like, you're live. You're live on a show. Um, we're going live. So it's interesting to me. It's all I want to watch. It's all I really want to talk about to anybody. Ditching the dog is sus, it is. And it's funny with my dad, I'll say, "Did you watch?" He's like, "I haven't had time," but, you know, the fact that he didn't come out says to me it's a cover up. I mean, everyone's appeasing me. I don't think anyone's watching that I want to watch, but it's funny because on TikTok, I see people are like, "Can anyone talk to me about this?" Because it's all I really wanna see and talk about because I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it, and I think that that's the draw for me. It's like, "Really? Really? If everything was cool in that house and they came out and it is what it is and it was what it was and it was the facts, this wouldn't be talked about. Something went on inside of that house, and I don't buy the excuse that it's some other cover up. It's something that happened, and I think it was accidental. And it's sad, but I think, of course, they're all tied in because they're all family. And it does remind me of a weird movie that you wouldn't believe. Yeah, it is corruption on display. It is. Why rehome your dog? Who rehomes a dog? And he said the fact that okay, so not only did he not come out, let's say, because I've said that, and it's been stated to me like, well, he was drinking. Everyone's passed out. Okay, he's passed out. But the dog's certainly going to wake up because in the first trial, Brian Albert said the dog was Chloe was in front of the window. Okay, so you don't wake up, you're drinking, the dog doesn't wake up. Okay, that's one aspect. Also, you don't go inside. Jen Albert doesn't go. Considering Brian Albert's job and what he dealt with and the high level of criminal activity, and across the street's another officer, high ranking, and he doesn't, all of a sudden his camera doesn't work and your camera doesn't work, and nobody came outside. Okay, you're passed out. No one went inside to investigate? Like, if a dead cop's on your lawn in the snow, you don't think, "Hey, my sister could be murdered?" That never crosses your mind. I mean, this is just it reeks of reasonable doubt. It reeks. And the fact that they were able to kinda go off, I think they, quote, unquote, "got lucky" with, um, Karen Reed saying, "What the hell? Did I clip him?" I mean, think about how many drinks. And I think if the attention wasn't there, say what you will about Turtle Boy, if the attention wasn't there, she'd be in prison. Because who cares? Now everyone's seeing it, and it's trial number 2. And I would be so shocked if trial number 3 comes along because I've learned that you can try it as much as you want. That's to be said about the Menendez trial. Like, The DA at the time was angry that they lost OJ, so he's like, "Okay, we're trying it again and take out the sexual abuse. We're not allowing that in." "Okay, you're not?" "No, we're not." And it was Gil Garcetti. So, all of a sudden, you're not. So the DA has a lot of control and a lot of power, and I wonder if he's regretting trying this a second time, a second there's not reasonable doubt that this expert who I barely understood. I have a million notes on it, but I really don't on what she assessed on that cell phone. Yeah, what she could assess with her expertise was that, okay, here it is. To a degree of scientific certainty, the search did not happen at 2 in the morning. And then 2:27:40. But then you get someone else to say it did. And then what? The jurors are like, I don't know. And they don't really consider that, and we saw that in Delphi based on Murder Sheet. You should watch that with the, juror, and so it make what really counts? What counts? What are they gonna look at? To me, it was the lies that came out of that house. That's for me. Maybe if I was on the jury, I would think the injuries, the kind of cut that look like dog bites. And where's the dog? If those are dog bites or dog attack, if you think, let's say claws or teeth, and the dog was there and they tested the dog and nothing came about, then so be it. The dog's gone. The dog is gone. I don't know. The dog is enough for me. And I think maybe, and I've heard, um, who knows? I know this kind of feels surreal and at times like a movie, but it's like I feel like that defense attorney is so good. He's so good. And this is round 2. Think about how much more information he has. Round 2 and how much more time he has to figure out where is the dog. Can they dig up at the pool? Possibly. I mean, that could be a rumor about where the dog is. Is the dog dead? No. Where's it rehomed? I heard whispers of like Vermont. I don't know. Are they gonna find the dog? What is going to be? And that is key here. That was mentioned in, the Lori Vallow interview with Lauren, Hidden True Crime, about what mattered to you, and they said the closing argument brought him back around. So that to me is key, okay? So you're lost. You're thinking, because there's ebbs and flows, like, "Okay, what do you mean? What is she looking at with the cell phone data?" None of us get it. But the closing argument, tell the story. Tell the story. What do you believe? What do you not believe? What's reasonable doubt? And keep in mind that prosecutor that everyone says is so much better than the first. I didn't see the first go round in terms of the full trial. I've watched different testimony, but he's a defense attorney. He's good. I mean, he's good. But Karen Reed's defense team, I think, is so much better. I really do. You know why I think that? It's probably my bias, but I think because they're telling the truth. It's just better. And those on the stand, I feel like who are not maybe so honest or maybe they didn't know. I don't think everybody in that house saw John O'Keefe. I don't. Do I think he was in the house? Yes. But they're very defensive. And maybe, I could say that the way I explain away Karen Reed's defensiveness is it's been so long, they're sick of it. But there is a defensiveness, even with every law enforcement officer on that stand. It's very defensive. Very, what do you mean? How do I know Proctor? What do you mean? And this is, he's holding up the shoe. It's very, but that could be said about Karen as well. So I understand that. Uh, but it all comes, it doesn't matter what I think. It really doesn't. The people who want to attack me, who do, um, it really doesn't matter what I think. I'm just assessing based on what I saw and what I saw going to that house. And I think 34 Fairview is the evidence. That's the evidence. What happened on that night? And I don't care how much snow was on the ground. I'm sorry. The lawn, when you hear that all the time, I've heard that at CNN for years. People would take tours and like, it seems so much bigger in real life. That's what the house feels like. You're like, wait a minute, it's here to there. It's here to there. You're going to see, and think about kids. I say kids, high school, college, 20s, not high school. Um, so they're they're a different breed. I feel like they would notice more than like an adult who's just like, hey, I'm going in for the cheesecake. So they're gonna be noticing that, whatever reason they're there. They just are. They're aware of their surroundings, in my opinion, for some reason. I don't know. Um, but that's my opinion. I don't think she did it. And I think that they set her up, and I think that the lie got too thick and too deep, and they're all in it. And I feel like they should let it lie. Let it lie. And I think I was talking too much, but and I didn't get to the point of overcharging. The second-degree murder charge is obscene. It's insane. How can you prove that she wanted to maliciously kill John O'Keefe? Even if you believe she drank too much and she didn't know what she was doing, that is not second-degree murder. That's what they did for Casey Anthony. They overcharged her. And guess what? She walked, and so will Karen. But a second time, and you keep the second degree without even assessing that all the jurors, it was a not guilty, not guilty, all of those charges. It was just down to a manslaughter charge, of vehicular manslaughter. So those 2 were not guilty. You're gonna do it again. You're gonna bring it back around. That's gutsy. That's gutsy. And what I see, and I know it is on, TikTok, my daughter would be mortified if she knew how much I was talking about TikTok. But what I've seen is they're hoping, I don't know this to be true, my buds, that the feds are there because keep in mind, I don't know if you saw this, the testimony, Jen McCabe, wow, she was huge to this case, and she was on the stand, and the defense attorney saying, Alan Jackson, he's saying, "Another set of officers came in, is that not correct?" And I'm paraphrasing, and he's like, "Without telling me what they said, you lied to them. The feds are there, like, they're there." But I go back to Delphi about how they kind of weren't invited in, and is that the same here in Massachusetts? Like, are they kinda like they came in at first and now they have to kinda be invited back? I don't know what the protocol is. That's the way it was in Delphi. And they weren't invited back, and that was it. Um, so but if okay, so second trial, what if it's a hung jury? What if it's a mistrial? What happens then? Do they retry it, and is it up to the DA? I think it is. I think it's up to the DA, but that what a fool if he does it a third time. And will there ever be anyone else brought up on charges? I think no. No. So the house is sold. It's funny, I was there twice, and I tried to stay kind of away. At first, it was with all of the media clearly being invited there, the jury, the homeowners were gone. That was clear. The second time I was there, I did see 2 cars, and I was quick in and out. Um, but I'm curious to wonder what they're thinking or because it's such a small town. I know that I went out to dinner in, Canton that night, and also I was staying nearby in Dedham. My sister went to Boston College, so I called her and said, "Do you know the towns?" And she said, "Oh, yeah. One of my roommates was from Dedham." Like, I said, "What's the stereotype of the town?" And she said, "No, a nice town, really nice town." And it said something to the effect this was in Dedham. It was like kind of like a sports bar with restaurant, and it said, like, "Come next Tuesday, it's celebrity cops, for charity. They'll be on the runway, celebrity cops." I'm like, "This town loves cops," which is great. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just it's a weird to go there is different than to just watch. That's all I'm saying. And when people say, "Well, how could everyone keep a secret? How could there be that many people involved?" And I say, "Yes, why not? Especially if they're all intertwined in terms of family." So that's where I'm thinking. Why does Jen McCabe have so many different stories? For the evening. Why did they try to separate? Yes. Okay. So, Amy, that's a good question. Okay. So I've rewatched the testimony, and here's where I have a problem. Here's where I do. Hey, Laura. Um, how am I doing with the lives? Uh, Here's where I have a problem. So I'm rewatching this, and it appears to me, again, maybe based on what my preconceived notion, that they're trying to separate them. Why? Why? Do they not like Karen? Is it as simple as that? Like, hey, we want John, we don't want Karen to come to the party. maybe it's that, and that's why out front she's like, "I don't know, see if we're wanted there." She felt the vibe of them not liking her. It could be that simple. I don't think it was some big like, "Okay, let's separate them to get him here." But when you listen to the testimony now, it's like they so many people were. Think about adults, okay? You're not teenagers, you're an adult, you're going to an after party. No one's obsessed with you coming. They especially if they've been drinking, they probably don't even know if you're there unless they're your immediate like my sister would be like, "Are you coming?" But why was everyone obsessed? "Are you here yet? Are you here?" Why? Why? Is it as nefarious as like, "Oh, they wanted to get him alone to beat him up?" I don't know. I don't think it was to kill him. I don't. But or was it they didn't like Karen, they wanted to set him up with somebody? I don't know. I don't know. Or was it Higgins wanted to beat him up because he was jealous? I don't know. I think that's where the defense is planting the seed of that. But I don't know if it's going that far. I don't know these people. It just feels like incestuous and maybe Karen knew that, and that's why out front she said, "I don't know, I'm not going in." You know? Maybe she felt that. And and what I do understand her own words as I read off the top. It's like she said this at a during the uh, Discovery ID documentary that Turbo sent me. It says, "I was looking to find him on the side of the road. I was expecting to find him. The fear of what I was going to see is the worst feeling I've ever experienced." So to me, that's like, I'm not lying. Shit, did I hit him? Did I drink too much? What did I do? Um, so I understand that, but I've also covered so many trials, and I mentioned this earlier. Scott Peterson, "Hey, Lacey, hey, babe, it's me," and he just killed her, and their unborn son, Connor, just killed her. The voicemails of BS I've heard, and these are Oscar worthy by Karen. They are. She's gonna leave him FU messages and "You're this and you're that." 'Cause she thought she was waiting outside. She's with the kids, sadly, I don't know if you know much about John O'Keefe. He adopted his sister's kids when she sadly passed away of a brain tumor, and he adopted them, and she's home with the kids thinking, "Oh my gosh, he's cheating on me, he's still at that party." So if she really knew that she hit him, why would she do that? Or forget all that. Second degree murder? That is malicious intent. That's what you're charging her with. Big mistake. Pretty woman, big mistake, huge. No, it's a bad move. It really is. Yeah, she wanted to see, like, hey, are we welcome? I don't know. Yeah, the alcohol. It's there's just a feeling you get, and I think that I don't know who the ringleader is. I've been hearing about, like, "Who do you think the ringleader is?" And I've asked that. Um, but I think that people are afraid in my own mind. I don't know this to be true. Brian Albert, the homeowner, uh, and I think that it's also Jen McCabe and her husband and the incestuous way about it. It's bizarre. And he retires. I mean, not that he was young, but all of the things happening together, you sell your house, you retire, the dog's gone, the basement's redone. Each of those things separately, you get rid of your phone. Each of the things separately are okay, but to me, all of it together is so bizarre. But if I were to pick one thing, if someone were to ask me, the one thing, dog is second. The one, you don't come out of the house. You never come out that night to say, "Hey, what the there's a cop dead on my front lawn." Nope, nothing. I don't care. I feel like if you have that in your blood and that's who you are as an investigator and to lead that family, you wake up or you snap out of it, how many drinks you've had, and you go out there and you see what's going on. The end. If anything, if you don't wake up, the dog wakes you up or your wife wakes you up. You never went out and no one came in. That to me is the end of the case, period. Especially for second degree murder. It's insane. And I don't know. I think it was a mistake. I wonder now as I'm seeing them on the stand, because I've watched the first trial now, certain testimony. I'm wondering if what their thoughts were on really again, because again, they have to be on that stand. Higgins, uh, Brian Albert, they got to be back on. back on the stand to talk about it and to possibly perjure themselves. Who knows? Who knows? And will we ever know what happened inside that house? I don't think so. Um, Never, ever, ever would I want to criticize John O'Keefe's family, which I won't. It's heart wrenching and heartbreaking, and I feel bad for his mother. But I wonder if you hear what I've heard, are you 100% that it was Karen? Are you 100%? And would anything in that courtroom sway your opinion? Because John O'Keefe's brother, they had to move him recently because he was apparently making faces or saying stuff and the jury could hear it. And he moved to the back of the kind of row of the public. The judge had him do that. That's what I've heard. And you could see it when you watch. But overall, it's devastating and completely horrific. But also, I wonder if Karen Reed would be free today. Like, would she have been convicted if the attention wasn't there? Would it be like their word against hers? And the quote from Jen McCabe's husband: "If she fights it," and I'm paraphrasing, "if she settles, it'll be easy," and I'm paraphrasing, "if she fights it, it'll be a battle," or something like it's like, really? Really? So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's supposed to be 6 weeks. We're only week 3, so 3 more. And, and you never really know. That's what I always hear. You don't know. And you can assess about how long the jury's out. Or I remember with Delphi, it was like, okay, but there were half days, so it was chunks. And you always hear like, if it's a Friday, they're going to decide because everyone wants to go home on a Friday, but not if court breaks on a Friday and that's the first time you're deliberating, you're not coming back on a Friday. You're just not, no matter what, even if you all agree. Um, so it was kind of half days, and I remember thinking, "I'm not going to, read into anything in Delphi, I'm just gonna see what happens." I did. I was like, "Oh my gosh, day 3, what does this mean? Does this mean they can't decide? There's one holdout?" You never ever know. Mm, but could it be another mistrial? Or will they all say, "Hey," and the judge during the first trial said, "You gotta go back," and they have to say that, like, "Give it another good try," and they said, "We absolutely could not," and one of the jurors has spoken out to the media, um, and I remember mentioning this to Turbo, that he said that they didn't read into a lot he didn't read into a lot of it. What stood out to him was it wasn't the calls, it was the injuries. Right? So the injuries on John O'Keefe. So maybe it boils down to that. And depending on everyone, think of everyone on a jury, your experience, your education level, your thought process, your history. I'm sorry, it all plays in on what you think. And maybe you're just kind of matter of fact. I want to see the injuries, guilty or not. And that didn't look like that Karen Reed hit him. Um, but to others, it may have been different. What played into them. Was it house long to die in the cold? I mean, maybe my husband was looking for an exit, but that's what he said. "Oh, done." The and I thought to myself, I'm putting myself in Karen Reid's shoes, like, if I see him, am I gonna say, "Google some" are you gonna say, "Google something? How long" here he is. Like, why Google something when you see him right there? It doesn't matter what you Google. It's where you are now and calling 911. Okay, and here's something funny. Okay, Laura, when I watched the first trial spun away, the circumstances surrounding this case are way different than way different than Delphi. To us, to us. I don't know if people feel like this is some big conspiracy against him, which I know that some people feel. The injuries people get hit by vehicles. Yeah, that's true. There are so many. I've heard that too. That like, he had black eyes, maybe one black eye. But someone did say it looked like he was in a fight. So maybe that's right, being hit by a car. Absolutely. There's no way that I can by any means say I'm an expert in what someone looks like who was hit by a car. Um, but the injuries on his skin, right? Those scratches are what I'm like, no way. That the tail light are shards like knives, full force cutting your arm. There's no way. That's how I feel. No, they can't, Laura, they can't find the dog. They removed I heard rumors, don't don't re kind of go on what I'm saying, but that The dog Chloe was rehomed. It was a German Shepherd mix in Vermont, but someone said also, and I'm talking about people that I've met outside of court, um, that they can't find it. They can't find the dog. Nobody can find the dog. And I think maybe that was in the opening statement, or maybe that was the last trial where the defense attorney, Alan Jackson, said, I've been looking for him to find, maybe I want to match up teeth or marks or anything. And they can't find him. And that's when I think that was first trial now that I'm talking about it. Yeah, that they couldn't find him. They gave it away. Yeah. Oh, they will bring it into oh my gosh, the dog, Laura, they brought it up, and I think that that's gonna be a huge sticking point. Wouldn't a cooperative cop wanna produce a dog? Right. To say like, "Okay, we rehomed it." Well, where? Where? "Okay, it's in Vermont? Bring us the dog. Bring us Chloe," right? Oh, it attacked someone else on the front lawn, or sorry, they didn't say front lawn. It had been in some altercation where they knew they had to get rid of it. Um, yeah, if Chloe's living the best life, right, bring her, and then that's it. I mean, I don't know. There to me, there's a blueprint on certain things to say in certain trials, like and this may be true, I'm not saying it's not, but the judge is crooked and the it's always like, um kind of the same things that are said to kind of divert attention off a specific client. But in this case, the more I looked into it, the more I couldn't unsee what I saw, period. I just couldn't. And this, I feel like she's not guilty 100%. If I was on that jury, I'd be like, absolutely not. Not. If anything, you took, even if you just took Brian Higgins, he's like, I had every right to get rid of my phone. And he's like, okay, you had a you got rid of it on a military base. He's law enforcement too. And, he says, "I did. Yes, I did." I mean, it's just one thing after another that you can't unsee. And you can that's why I'm shocked kind of at certain people's opinions that I respect, and it's like, have you really watched what I'm watching? Because I would like you to watch what and then if you come up with the same opinion, then great. I mean, I still like them. I'm just wondering, like, or do you hate her? Do you hate her? Do you not like her? Does she bother you? Do you hate Turtle Boy? If you do, keep watching because this has nothing to do with them. It really doesn't. Doesn't have anything to do with how much you like her, Karen. Um, it doesn't. Karen Reed, is she likable? And even Turtle Boy said to me, like, no, I think she should stop talking. Because in the documentary, I think it was on Max, she said, I can't wait to just relax and have a drink and have this be over. And he's like, don't say that, don't say that. And it's out there for everyone to see. This isn't talk about. Yeah, it's all I want to talk about. It's all I want to kind of watch. Oh, the guy. And, I feel like certain trials have, if you think back to OJ, like with Kato Kalin, like the house guest, the guy, what is his name? With the red solo cups. And he's like, the poor guy. I mean, the poor guy. But he said they hold liquid beautifully. Wait, I wrote it down. Red solo cups. I think it was perfectly. They hold liquid. I mean, it was what? What is happening? If that doesn't, that feels like a movie that we're all in. Like, okay. And if someone wrote that screenplay, you'd think that's BS. Like, okay, we're going to have them collect evidence in red solo cups because everyone drinks. No, I wouldn't do that. No, let's do it. They did it. And it's, it's so bad. And the guy, you're like, what? He's like, oh, I didn't. And they're all really, I'm sure they're prepped on this and they're law enforcement, some of them. So they're in. But he's like, no, sir, I could not have gotten a search warrant for that house. Like everyone was controlled, in my opinion, by Brian Albert, who owned the home. He was the ringleader, and everyone was scared of him, and no one was going to get a search warrant to go in his house. And that group text to me solidified all of this. That disgusting group text to say, oh my gosh, she's telling everything. And I'm paraphrasing. And, oh, Chris Albert, who has the son Colin, he owns a restaurant. Well, a news station walks in, and there goes the group text, and it's like, "Well, tell him to say that the guy never went in the house." And keep in mind, by the way, so Brian Albert, on that day, that evening, the day before and that evening, he was at an officer's funeral during the day with Brian Higgins. They came back to Canton, they went to a restaurant, then a bar, and kept drinking, and then went that's his story. So you don't go to John O'Keefe's funeral? You don't go. I don't think many of those people went to the funeral. I do believe that there are a few that went. Maybe it was Higgins. O'Keefe didn't go. Um, it's just I think that the aftermath of the behavior in what happened after, to me, points the finger. Yes, did they have the perfect fall guy in Karen Reed? Yeah, until they started not talking, until they started telling their story of rehoming the dog, of what went on inside that house. So, I don't know if we'll ever know, I really don't. Or if anyone will be charged, I doubt it. But hopefully she's found not guilty. I hope this isn't a second mistrial. And if they choose, yeah, to not attend the funeral, if they choose to not to try it again, it's no way. I mean, no way, in my opinion, that you can be a logical person as a DA and decide, let's do it again. Let's even put the spotlight on this family even brighter. Let's shine it brighter. Let's talk about their bizarre lies and selling the house and rehoming the dog and not coming out and going through a military base to get rid of my phone. That's what I'm looking forward to, seeing Higgins and Albert on the stand again, to where I'm really kind of viewing this from a different perspective. The first trial I didn't see, from rewatching it, but I really don't know how to get out of alive. Ah. All right, Turbo, I think, left me. So, yeah, it screams guilt to me too. It does. It's my first live. How'd I do? I don't know what I'm just talking constantly nonstop. But it's the one it's a trial that I'm so interested in. Once I drop my kids off at carpool, I'm not kidding. I listen. I mean nonstop. I'm listening to this. It's 24/7. I'm interested in every witness on that stand. I really am. I mean, I can't because I don't know what the formula is to gain the public's attention, but I feel like it's people that you feel like you could stick up for, or maybe you can't believe this is even happening, and that's how I feel. So the more I hear, the more I can't believe it's going on a second time. Oh, there's Turbo. You have to tell me how to exit. Oh, picking up a Boston accent. My sister went to Boston College. Funny story. So I'm a year younger. Still in high school, and she went to BC Eagle, and I would visit her. My parents would let me. I don't know why, but just chunks of time. I mean, so much time I spent there that I got into Boston College and thought, I can't. I feel like I already go there. I mean, I was there a lot. But the nicest guys, they really keep but then their accent. They're like the "ka," the I can't even do it. And look, I'm from New Jersey, so it's not like I've any room to speak. I mean, come on. The criticism we get, it's like, "What exit?" New Jersey?" So we're already defensive going in. So maybe I equate with defensiveness on the stand, which I see a lot. I'm like, what the hell? You're born defensive, I think. But it makes me laugh. Oh, and this is a quick funny story. They all had dirty white baseball hats. Everyone from BC. My sister would invite them over. My parents are like, "Come one, come all, everyone." And my mom would put all of their baseball hats, whoever was staying, into the dishwasher and washed the hats. It reminds me of my grandmother. She sewed the holes in my knees on my jeans. She sewed them shut. So they're like, "What the hell?" They got them dirty for years and they leave with sparkling white hats, same accent. But New Jersey's not any better. I can't do it, but the yard. Okay. Turbo, tell me how to end the live. All right. I'll be watching tomorrow. Thank you. Great job. First time. I had lots of notes. Click upright, then what? All right. All right. Bye. Thanks. I don't know if I did it.